Meeting will now come to order. Welcome to the July 22nd, 2024 City of Asheville Board of Adjustment meeting. My name is Suzanne Godsey, and I am chair of this board. The Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial body that is governed by the North Carolina General Statutes and the city's Unified Development Ordinance. We are authorized to hear requests for variances from the city's UDO, appeals from final determinations made by city officials charged with enforcement of the city's UDO, requests for reasonable accommodations, and other requests as may be provided in the city's ordinances. Our first item is the review and adoption of the minutes of the June 25th, 2024 regular meeting.
I have a question before we approve that.
Yes.
To the attorney. In the previous meeting, initially it had voted yes, but the intent was to vote no. We need to amend the minutes in order to correct that vote, or can we, once the vote is in, it's just null and void?
So who was it? Your vote?
My vote, yeah.
Okay. Was that the deciding factor?
It wasn't decided.
Okay.
It wouldn't have changed the outcome.
It wouldn't have
Okay.
changed the outcome.
Then no. I think we would just move to amend the minutes and maybe just add a note in them saying that the vote was mistakenly recorded as was it a no? And
No,
it was supposed to be
it was a
yes?
no.
Okay. So I would encourage you on voting for to approve the minutes to add an addendum there saying with the one change to reflect that Elliott Smith actually voted no rather than yes, or vice versa.
Okay, thank you.
Just noted in making the motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, so a motion to amend that I initially intended to say no in the vote.
Okay, so you're making a motion to approve the minutes with the amendment
Yes,
as stated.
as stated.
Okay, can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. General introduction to quasi-judicial decisions. We will now begin the evidentiary hearings for the cases listed on the agenda. I believe we only have one. In hearing cases, the board conducts a quasi-judicial evidentiary hearing. That means that it is like a court hearing. State law states specific procedures and rules concerning how this board must make its decisions. These rules are different from some other types of land use decisions, like rezoning cases, which are legislative in nature. This board's decisions are constrained by the standards in the city's ordinance and the facts presented at the hearing. The board hears and considers evidence presented at the hearing and applies the standards set forth in state law and the city's ordinance. The board must base its decisions upon competent material and substantial evidence presented at the hearing. If you will be speaking as a witness, please focus on the facts and standards, not personal preference or opinion. Participation is limited. This meeting is open to the public, and everyone is welcome to watch. Parties have rights to participate fully. Parties may present evidence, call witnesses, and make legal arguments. Witnesses may testify as to facts to which they are competent to testify, so long as those facts relate to the legal standards. In addition, lay or non-expert witness testimony is limited to facts, not opinions. For certain topics, this board needs to hear opinion testimony from expert witnesses. These topics include projections about impacts on property values and projections about impacts on traffic safety. For variance requests, a 4/5 vote of the board is required to grant the variance. For all other hearings and matters, including the adoption of minutes, the decision will be made by a simple majority vote of the board. Witnesses must swear or affirm their testimony. At this time, we will administer the oath for all individuals who intend to provide witness testimony. Please stand and raise your right hand if you plan to provide testimony. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Our first and only case on the agenda is a variance. The owner, Eric Horth, is requesting a variance to the height standards in section 710-2F4, allowable encroachments into required setbacks of the Unified Development Ordinance. The petitioner is seeking relief for a new uncovered deck at 8 Crestwood Lane with a PIN number of 9607-988041. Tyler Kelly, Residential Review Specialist, will be presenting the case this afternoon.
Good afternoon, members of the board, public, city staff, the applicant. We're here for 8 Crestwood Lane, RS4. It's way out west, just on the boundary of the city's jurisdiction in Candler. The petitioner, Eric Horth, also the owner, is requesting variance from the standards found in section 710(2)(F3), required setbacks, allowable encroachments into required setbacks of the city's Unified Development Ordinance. You can see on the screen there the direct quote from the UDO, specifically 3 decks, steps, uncovered porches, patios, and terraces may encroach into a required side or rear setback or no closer than 6 feet from the side or rear property line. It goes on to say that if it were a deck, then it can encroach to allow the entire span of the deck as long as the deck is less than 30 inches in height. So the applicant has proposed the construction of a 35-foot wide deck, 10-foot long, so 10-foot deep, measured from the front of the deck towards the home, and 35 feet wide, running the span of the facade of the home. The deck height ranges from 51 inches on the side of the dwelling closest to the driveway to 91 inches at the side closest to the adjacent property. This height will match the existing deck and/or landing used to enter the home. The front yard is heavily vegetated and slopes downwards towards the dwelling, such that there's an estimated 10 to 15-foot drop in elevation from the edge of the pavement, the street, to the grade, the existing grade at the front of the house, or the side of the house closest to the street. This would be a 100% waiver to allow the entire span of the deck to be built higher than the 30 inches exception. So again, located west of downtown off Smoky Park Highway in Candler along Crestwood Lane, sandwiched between I-40 within residential single-family medium district, RS4. Neighborhood's located just behind Inca Middle. Parcels identified as 9607-98-8041. Has a unique ribbon shape to it, with the narrowest portion of the parcel measuring 14 feet deep, with an unbuildable western portion and an eastern portion that contains an approximate 1,800 square foot building envelope, so it's rather restricted. Subject to a required 25-foot setback within RS4, 2-story home with a basement and accessory dwelling was built in 2020. The dwelling has an estimated 620 square foot footprint, not including the small deck on the western portion of the home closest to the driveway. Goes on to explain, how the front setback interacts with the home and the proposed location of the deck. The proposed deck, again, is to match the elevation of the existing landing. No portion of the deck will fall below the 30-inch maximum height required to encroach into the front setback. And again, the north side of the property abuts Interstate 40 and is not ideal for the placement of outdoor space. The noise was verified by a site visit when posting the sign. The eastern side of the home abuts the neighbor's home, and western side of the home looks out over the driveway. So we'll take a look at the GIS and site plans to go into that a little bit more. Those are the basic review analysis and considerations. 8 Crestwood Lane. Here is the subject parcel. You can see the ribbon shape, the driveway, the home, and 40. It's a zoning map surrounded by RS4. Here is a survey with the footprint of the deck illustrated on the far right of the site plan. See, with the 10-foot deck, it would be 15 feet from the property line. Exhibit D is the building plans. You can see here, this is this landing here. And so the driveway is located just past these stairs. You go up the stairs, enter the home. Here's the landing. The new proposed deck would connect to that landing, kind of wrap around the house to the furthest eastern facade, and then there would be a sliding glass door here to enter the home secondary entrance. So 35-foot long, 10-foot wide. Some photos. Those are not loading correctly, but you can see this is the front hill. It's kind of difficult to see the grade from this angle, but there's a facade of the house where the deck would span, and then there's an angle from the driveway where the existing landing is, an entrance to the home. And this is kind of a better shot of the hill running up towards the street, not really visible from the street. There's a couple other documents in case you need them to be brought up, but any questions from the board at this moment?
You may have mentioned, but I didn't hear. Is it going to be covered or uncovered?
Uncovered.
Okay.
They'll be restricted. If approved, they would be restricted from covering it.
Got it. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Kelly?
I don't at this moment.
Anybody? Okay. Does the applicant want to come up and speak and provide any additional testimony?
Can you use the presentation, or
Okay.
there's also some of the documents that you submitted here.
Good afternoon. My name is Eric Korth. I just wanted to add a little bit of additional information just to kind of help make the decision. So originally the plan was to do a 12-foot deck, and then we found out, obviously, as far as the encroachments with, originally I thought our property went up to the street. It doesn't, so that's kind of where that threw our plans off. We just had different ongoing discussions to reduce it to 10 feet. As far as looking at different options, as far as why we're choosing to do it, is simply a lot of it is the slope of the land and then the noise from Interstate 40, having that. I know it kind of looks like at our house is we would have the option based on our property to put it in the front of the house, but simply the option there is we would not invest in a deck to put it there. It's just simply too loud. There is a little bit of noise where we are going to put it, but that's about the only place on the house where you could even have a conversation. So in terms of us trying to have some outdoor space, that's where we want it. We do have young children, so as far as putting it in the front of the house with the noise, we just kind of see that as a safety concern. So pretty much, what he went over is information that we've got, and we're just hoping to be able to have the approval just to build it a little bit higher based on just kind of the location of our property and that slope and the noise taken in consideration.
I have a quick question. What hardships has it really imposed on you and your family?
Really just the slope of the land, not being able to have any place that is level as far as the exterior. Where it's built is if we didn't have the slope of the land where it is in the front, We wouldn't have the issue of having that restriction as far as the encroachment and the height of the 30 inches. Because we have that 4.5-foot landing up into the house to be able to build that deck off of it, that's kind of where we already have that restriction as far as the height, and then limitations as far as the noise of Interstate 40. There's no other place that we'd be able to build the deck for it to even be feasible to have outdoor space like that. And I understand, being Western North Carolina, a lot of land is sloped. So, I understand that that is not something that is completely unique to us, but I would say that it is a factor. We purchased the home, and that's kind of what's been difficult for us, but also having the fact that we have Interstate 40 there that, is literally right there. I mean, the sheer noise from outside our house, it pretty much handicaps us in terms of what we're able to do as far as outdoor space, to be able to have any flat land. As you can see in the photos, we really have 0 flat land, so even being able to build the deck, we still, that's about the only place we have as far as being able to have any flat land outside for us to use.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have additional questions?
Have you considered stepping down the deck? Is that possible?
It'd be very challenging in terms of what we're trying to do to be able to get it to that 30 inches. We talked with our contractor who went out and did the measurements. You'd have to put steps down from the front or enter very low and then have a lot of steps up to a landing. And since we're having a sliding glass door, you'd basically have to have a platform and then more steps that go down to the point where you've got steps on both sides to be able to even get it close to that 30 inches. And at that point, with having kids and just constantly pretty much all of it being steps, it was something that we were trying to see if there was a design, option, because I get it. We don't want to just not be able to have a deck. It was trying to explore those options, but as far as feasibility, to be able to put that many steps and different options to go up and down, it kind of defeated the purpose of what we're trying to have.
It appears that's what your neighbor did, was do some stairs so that their deck could be meeting code. I'm assuming it's in compliance.
It is absolutely not. We'll be speaking with that neighbor. So please do not assume anything that is shown for this. Yeah.
So we got the idea from them, not knowing that. We were like, no problem, it would be great, this is a good idea, and then unfortunately through this
You're
process.
not going to be invited to many block parties, I have a feeling.
Yeah,
after that.
and so we're going through the process in hopes that we're able to have something. I mean, wasn't trying to bring them up, that's not.
No, I know. I was
You're
teasing.
doing the right thing.
You're doing the right thing.
It's hard to see the photos in the back, it's like, I know.
And so the deck is, because your site plan is very rudimentary at best. Just to confirm, it's not extending beyond the front facade of the house, except where it's lining up with the landing.
Correct.
Okay. And the length of that that's in the application matches the front facade of the house. Okay. And the 10-foot setback. So, I know that I have spoken multiple times on my dislike of what I appear to be egregious setbacks in some of our single-family residential districts. And I know that some of those are being looked at to be revised. So in reality, in a year or two, this may not be an issue. And a 15-foot front setback would not be something you needed to get a variance for. I think the noise of I-40 is probably fairly substantial, that it would not make much sense at all for you to build any type of outdoor living space. I have been to homes where they are up against the interstate and the noise is fairly significant. I find it very creative that anyone was able to build a home on 600 square foot footprint on this eyebrow piece of property. So kudos to whoever did the site plan to begin with.
Yeah, that setback up there, that right, the east setbacks looks tight.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the 6-foot setback.
That's the side setback, yes. Does anyone else have any comments or questions?
I
Okay.
agree that the interstate is a unique aspect of this property that should be considered.
And although I don't see anyone out in the audience, is there anyone from the public here that would like to give expert testimony or testimony from residents withstanding? Seeing none. Any discussion, or is there a motion?
A motion to approve.
Motion approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Somebody.
All right, let's go team. Okay, board, when I say your name, please say aye or nay. Elliot Smith,
Aye.
Annette Wise,
Aye.
Chris Van Danish,
Aye.
John Michael Cletus,
Aye.
and Suzanne Godsey is an aye.
Thank you.
Variance has been approved. If there is no objection, we will adjourn the meeting. Any objections?
No.
Okay, we're adjourned.